A few Alabama players understood the assignment in the Iron Bowl yesterday. They knew what was on the line and they stepped up big, and we need to talk about it. Stick around, subscribe. This is Way Off Sides. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever the case may be. Welcome to the postseason, boys and girls. Before we start covering the SEC championship game and the college football playoff, we've got to talk a little bit more about this Iron Bowl and make sure people get the kudos they deserve. Alabama beats Auburn in Jordan-Hare. Kalen DeBoer's first game there. It was a must-win situation for the Tide to keep everything in front of them, to keep their playoff hopes alive, their SEC championship goals alive, their national title hunt goals alive. And they did it. They got the job done off of the backs of some guys that had some wild performances yesterday, some folks that really stood out. And we want to talk about that today and make sure that they get the tip of the hat they deserve. But before we get there, you need to lock in with us here at Way Off Sides. That's Way with 4 A's. 3 is not enough, 5 too many. 4, just like in the word Alabama. You can do that by subscribing. Go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a video. A lot of recruiting early signing periods coming up this Wednesday. Alabama looking to sign a very, very good class. We'll be talking about all of that, previewing the SEC championship game, the college football playoff. Oh, championship weekend. It's the postseason, boys and girls. It's here. We made it. And with it, Kalen DeBoer in year 2 beats Auburn, LSU, and Tennessee too. Yeah, man, it was a good year. The game yesterday was a little rough. It was rough around the edges, as most people expected it to be. That's I had the game pegged for 26-20. It ended up being 27-20. You kind of knew going into this that it was going to be a dogfight, right? It was going to be a lot of scratching and clawing. Auburn did just that. It looked like they were trying to break players every time they made a tackle. I think it got a little dirty at some points in time, but that's another video. Of course, fans are talking about missed calls here or there. Well, all that aside, Alabama gets the W, right, and keeps everything in front of them. This team last year found themselves in a very similar situation at Oklahoma on the road, and they folded. Alabama persevered this year, and they did it on the backs of a couple of guys, a couple of guys that I think understood what the assignment was and stepped up big. First, on the defensive side of the ball, of course, Bray Hubbard. We got to give Bray Hubbard kudos. He's probably been Alabama's best defender all season. He's a turnover machine. He forced one in this game. I think he got one in this game as well, if I remember correctly off the tip. Bray Hubbard just looks different. He really took that week 1 loss and a lot of the criticism that he got personal, and has looked to be one of the best players in the country. I can't say it any other way. And it came up big for Alabama. Really big. Now, amidst the Bray Hubbard excitement, there's another DB for Bama that probably is going to get overlooked, and he shouldn't, especially with what he did yesterday. Now, I said this in another video, and a couple of them actually. This Auburn team was a quarterback away from potentially being a playoff contender. Like, let's take our crimson colored goggles off. This could have been a really good Auburn team. Offensively, since they fired Hugh Freeze, they've been a lot better, putting up on average 500 plus yards of offense in games. In this one, they put up 411, right? It was obvious that at some point in time, Auburn was going to go to Cam Coleman. And I don't want to take anything away from Cam Coleman. I know that the kid probably feels terrible about himself for fumbling that ball at the end. But, hey, it was a forced fumble. Again, a lot of the turnovers that these guys are creating, Bray Hubbard, these aren't fluke turnovers. This is Alabama forcing these things. But the guy was almost a non-factor in the game yesterday, and that was because of Zabian Brown. Zabian Brown played a fantastic football game yesterday. Some of the best football I've seen him play at Alabama. Went back and did a rewatch and specifically watched him. And, Cam Coleman was hobbled a little bit. I think he was definitely dinged up, but that was really good football. That was what we are used to under Nick Saban. There was one series there where they targeted Cam Coleman 3 times in a row, and Brown just shut it down, man. Absolutely just shut it down. Zabian Brown deserves a big tip of the cap for what he did yesterday. He's been quiet a lot this season, but that's because a lot of folks aren't throwing his way. Seen people want to pick on Dijon Lee. Dijon Lee played a great game yesterday. He had that one play where he got in there, knocked the ball out late in the game. Did get burned on one of the touchdowns, but he's a true freshman. But just Zabian Brown, again, man, that dude made some money for himself yesterday. That's a future first-round NFL wide receiver that he completely shut down last night, and not enough people are talking about it. They're not. Ty Simpson obviously is going to get a lot of the talk for that last-minute drive, but Alabama's not in a position to win that game if it's not for the defense. And Alabama's defense played well yesterday, despite the yards they gave up. They kind of went a little bend don't break towards the end of the game, gave up some chunk yardage, but that secondary is legit. And I think that if Alabama's defense plays the way they did yesterday, Alabama can be in position to beat anybody in the country. And that's why they're a playoff team, even with the offense sputtering sometimes. Now, on the other side of the ball, you got to give Ty Simpson some credit. Of course, the quarterback's got to get his due. He didn't have a spectacular game. However, Simpson, just basically because of that last drive that he had, you got to tip his hat. Now, he went 19 for 35 for 122 yards and 3 touchdowns. That is not lighting it up at all in terms of yardage, but the yards came when they mattered most. And Alabama's offensive line really buckled down, and it was dinged up. It was a rotational circus again. Guys were banged up. Parker Brailsford was banged up. Tip of the hat to him for when he played, coming in there injured. But Ty Simpson was playing under duress a lot in this game. That one touchdown pass he threw off the back of his foot to Isaiah Horton. Spoiler alert, he's the next player we're going to talk about. But Ty Simpson ends up throwing 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. He had one that probably could have been picked. It looked a lot like the one that got picked off against Eastern Illinois. But it was dropped. But Ty Simpson played pretty well yesterday. Jam Miller as well played great yesterday until he got hurt. He had 15 carries for 83 yards. He was averaging almost 6 yards a carry. I don't know where that Jam Miller has been all season, but it was nice to see him back. I hate that he's hurt. The show is going to be on Daniel Hill and probably AK Deer moving forward because you've got Kevin Riley injured with a broken jaw. So those guys get credit. But the guy who deserves the most credit yesterday is obviously Alabama wide receiver Isaiah Horton. Horton finished the game with those 3 touchdowns. He only had 35 yards receiving, but he came up big in the end zone when they needed him. And I really think that was kind of Alabama's game plan. Everybody was talking about Ryan Williams. There's some rumors out there that he's dealing with a hamstring. I don't know. But I think Alabama wanted to play with the bigger receivers this game. Auburn is extremely physical and very violent defense in how they hit. I think that there was maybe some fear of getting Ryan Williams hurt playing him in that game, especially if he's already dinged up. You know what I mean? Isaiah Horton's a big body wide receiver, and he used that big body yesterday, and he did, and he was the difference in the game. He averaged 7 yards a catch for 3 touchdowns. Latsier Brooks averaged almost 10 yards a catch. He only had 3 of them. Bernard only had 3. Jam had 2. Missed the wheel route. Would have probably, I don't know if it would have been 6, but it definitely would have been a huge chunk play. But amidst all the things that people are going to talk about, those are the guys that to me really stood out yesterday. Kudos to the offensive line. James Smith showed up big yesterday. Tim Keenan doing what Tim Keenan does. LT Overton played a great game yesterday when he was in. But really, Jam Miller, Ty Simpson, Isaiah Horton, Bray Hubbard and Zabian Brown. Those guys balled out yesterday. Absolutely balled out. And I wanted to give them a tip of the hat before we move on to start talking about the SEC championship. You can be part of that conversation if you just lock in with us. And why wouldn't you, man? It's the best damn YouTube channel on YouTube, right? I don't know. Maybe just subscribe. I'm just trying to say stuff so you'll subscribe. But thanks for sticking around with me. Love each and every one of you. You can find us on social media. We're most active over on X at Way Offsides. Be sure to share on social media. Trying to get our footprint grown on Instagram and Facebook. So help us out there if you can. As always, say your prayers, read your Bibles, wash your hands, horns down, beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee to Roll Tide.